right, all right. Good morning, grand rising, grand rising. My team have been wanting me to share some of the knowledge that we've been discussing over here at the Academy. And they wanted me to share it with you. So welcome to the Paradigm Shift Podcast. The particular podcast that we're going to cover today is the idea of 1111 and why is 1111 significant to me or even significant to us. So welcome to the Paradigm Shift.
All right, it is 11:11 at 11:11.
Yeah, the 11th day, the 11th hour, the 11th minute, the 11th second.
The Strangest Secret Reimagined.
Oh yeah, the Strangest Secret Reimagined. Oh, you want to hear about that?
Please.
All right.
Please.
So again, this is my team. This is an interview by the Academy Mastermind Organization, right, of which I'm a member. And the Strangest Secret is a book or something that I've been teaching in my class for the last few years. And it's the title of the book by Earl Nightingale. You heard of Earl Nightingale? What about you?
Heard a little something about it.
You heard about Earl Nightingale?
Yes, sir.
Right. So the theme of it, right, the title is that the strangest secret is you are what you think, or you become what you think, right? And then also like success is the progressive realization of a worthy idea, right? So recognizing that you are what you think, that we become what we think, that concept has been very significant in my life, right? And I think that, not even that I think, right? This idea of 1111 is part of the thinking process.
So why 11:11?
Well, I would say among us as a team, right? We've made the decision, not even the decision, but we're kind of experimenting with this like off center. Like for example, traditional meeting time started at 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, right? And we are operating, living in, experiencing an alternative paradigm. We're experiencing a different paradigm. So we're experimenting with different times, right? So for us, like we've developed meeting times around 10:10, 11:11, 1:11, 3:33. Yeah. And the significance is we're putting an intention around a particular time.
Around numerology.
Right, yeah. Around numerology in a particular time. You know, time is a human construct, right? And we are using that human construct as we build out an alternative paradigm. So 1111 has become significant, and I think it's globally significant. Like I don't think it's significant in this house, in this building, but I think like for y'all out there in the social media land, it's probably significant to a lot of people. 1111, yeah. Or we've made it significant.
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
We made it significant.
Time as a symbol. Yeah.
Yeah. We made it significant.
Sure. Yeah. So you have here that there is an awakening and a spiritual and economic marker. What do you mean by that?
Well, why did I choose this? So I feel that like this is I've been experimenting with the Paradigm Shift podcast, but I would say this is the official 2.0 version of the Paradigm Shift podcast.
Well, it looks good.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, thanks to the team, right? And starting at 11:11, well, it was like recognizing the November 11th was coming up. All right, let's do this. Let's start this paradigm shift. Let's share it with the world, right? Again, you folks, we've had these conversations in-house, right? And we want to share it with the world, right? And what better time than 1111 to start sharing these concepts. Absolutely. And also, not only what better time, but the concepts. Like I have a particular affirmation that I've built around the concept of 1111 also. And the affirmation is in line with a political economy, black political economy, And it's an affirmation that I also want to share with you, this broader audience, a concept that we've discussed in-house.
Yeah, yeah. And as a family, we've discussed it a lot.
We've discussed it a lot, yeah.
So we've had this intentional start time of 11:11 today.
Yeah.
So how is that an affirmation in practice? Explain what that means.
Well, I mean, it's for what it could be in terms of us as a group. We've set up a meeting at 11:11, 10:10, 3:3, right, 1:11. What it does is that we create intention around that particular marker, right? So all of our minds are, okay, we're going to be getting together at 11:11, 10:10. So that's the significance in numerology, or just getting groups of minds focused on a particular time period. But what it is, and what's the way it's going to be relevant in this particular podcast is that I've as you know, right, my team know, I have a huge number of affirmations that I work with, right? Is that right?
Quite a few.
Right? Yeah, I got quite a few. And I'm going to be sharing, as these podcasts continue, I'm going to be sharing these affirmations.
Yeah, yeah.
But
they're beautiful words. You have a lot of different philosophies like baked into those affirmations that I think the world they're ready to hear.
Yeah. Okay. And I would say that so let's start it. So this first affirmation is built off of two sets of 11 words. It's built off of two sets of 11 words, but it aligns with the political economy that is significant to me. The political economy that's significant to me is called Black political economy. And what I'm studying and what I'm sharing with my team and what I want to share with the world, right, is this idea of the principles of Black political economy. And also the idea, right, that the principles live in application, proper application. And one of the concepts in what Black political economy is a framework that came into my life through my mentor, Lloyd Hogan. And I've studied with him and I've studied with other people, this idea of principles of Black political economy. And what's significant to principles of Black political economy is this idea of human energy, right? And the human being, right, being the result of human energy. And so I've taken that idea of human energy and I'm using it as a bridge from economics of scarcity to economics of abundance, a la Earl Nightingale, you are what you think, right? So recognizing that I am human energy, you're human energy, you're human energy, we're all human energy, and that as human energy, we are a particular manifestation of universal energy, right? My political economy and the application of the principles of Black political economy recognizes that you can work with this energy, right? You just don't need to let it dissipate around, but that you can turn this energy, this human energy, into productive energy. That we make a decision that we want a productive world, right? The world that we would like to see, right? Building the world as we travel, those kinds of things, right? So as I am aware of this idea of human energy, right, that I am what I think, so one of my affirmations that it's a flow affirmation and it's a stock affirmation. So the flow affirmation in the genre of human energy, this is the flow affirmation, right? Is that I cultivate, transform, transmute, and utilize sexual energy and other stimuli.
And transcend.
And transcend, oh my man, thank you, right? Yeah. So I cultivate, transform, transmute, and utilize and transcend sexual energy and other stimuli, right? And that's a flow concept. And then the stock concept is I create, attract, accumulate, demonstrate, and share life wealth and material wealth. which is also 11 words. So that's where the 1111 comes from.
Nice.
And what is this? Well, I made a decision to make that significant, right? It aligns with the experiments, and 1111 is just fun, right? And prosperity economics, the economics of abundance, is about fun, right? It's about enjoying life. It's about happiness, and that really recognizing that the real revolution is being happy, right? I mean, there's so much energy around being unhappy, right? That acting intentionally, right? Recognizing that happiness is an inside job, right? And building upon that. I think that's part of the real revolution. So 1111 is built around a flow concept about human energy, and human energy as a particular a manifestation of universal energy, and also sexual energy, right, which is a particular manifestation of human energy.
Nice. Okay. So you have here that there's an idea between the internal label process and producing of the human being. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so as a political economist, political economy is, from the perspective, or the principles from the perspective of Lloyd Hogan, is that political economy is about people, right? And it's about population, right? And it's about social reproduction of people, right? And Lloyd Hogan has part of what he would call these institutional mechanisms of social reproduction. And one of them is called the internal labor process. And the internal labor process is where human energy is created, right? And what is human energy? Well, me as a human being, I am the manifestation of this human energy, right? And Lloyd Hogan calls that the internal labor process.
So external labor would be the equivalent of producing a Tesla, and internal labor would be the process of producing the human being. It
would, right? So in traditional economics, the scarcity economists, when they talk about economics, they typically talk about the production and distribution of goods and services. And the production of goods and services is the idea you take inputs and turn them into outputs. So in the production of a Tesla, you take the raw materials, land, labor, capital, entrepreneurial skills, build a company, and that company takes those inputs and turn them into the output, which is the Tesla. And that Tesla is to be sold in the market, right?
Okay.
So most economists, we spend a lot of time on that production process. What Hogan has allowed us to do is take that kind of framework and talk about the idea of an internal labor process, a production process. So I think along those lines, right, is that what is production, right? On the internal side, and I think, like, if I could remember off the top of my head, it's something along the lines of the degree and quantity of significant accomplishments attained in a particular time period that reflect your values, your dreams, your goals, your desires, and your aspirations. All right, so that would be, so if you have dreams, goals, desires, and aspirations, well, how are you organizing your energy to manifest those dreams, goals, desires, and aspirations within the context of values that are significant to you? And traditional economics, what they focus on when they look at what Hogan calls the internal labor process, they call it consumption, right? And that you consume something based on utility. In this analysis, we look at it as a production process. It's a creative destruction production process. So I destroy, the idea of you are what you eat, right? You heard that, right? You are what you eat, right? But you also what you consume, Right? So if you consume a particular education, right, you can consume a particular culture, right? You consume a particular power relationship, right? You're the product of all that you consume, right?
Right.
And so what this idea of the internal labor process recognizes that, and this idea of going back to the 1111 is also recognizing this, is that I have a choice, that my thoughts could float all over the place, right? But I make a conscious decision to bring my thoughts on these concepts, right? And the way that fits, I guess, is along the lines taking the biblical language, right? Is the idea of the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things unseen. That's what faith is. But we switch it up a little bit over here, right? It's not only just the substance of things hoped for, right? It's the substance of things envisioned and evidence of things unseen. So spending my mind over and over again, right? Whether I visualize it or whether I repeat it over and over again in the form of affirmations, and take my thoughts, my thoughts could be way over here, they could be way over here, but I intentionally put them right here, and I put them on, human energy, so I am, right? Or I cultivate, right? So I cultivate human energy, right? So I sit on that for a second. Okay, well, let me sit up straight, right? I'm cultivating some energy right now, right? I'm cultivating Curtis Haynes Jr. So I sit up straight, I take deep breaths because I'm cultivating, right? I'm cultivating, look at the flowers around me, right? I'm a preambulating plant, right? I'm a plant that walks, right? But I got consciousness, right? I got we as human beings, we have the ability to create. So I'm creating Curtis Haynes Jr., right? So how do I create Curtis Haynes Jr.? I cultivate myself, right? So take my breath, right? I'm breathing, right? I'm cultivating. And so as I take these breaths, right, as I cultivate myself physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, right, I'm transforming energy, right? I'm turning the energy into power, right? Powering, if you think about power, right, the computer's over here, right, the lights are on, right? That's energy, electricity turned into power, and the power manifests in the lights, or manifests in the computer. Well, for us, right, we take an energy, right, convert it into power, and it manifests in a human being that demonstrates power, right? And I'm a human being that demonstrates power, right? So I cultivate energy, and I transform that energy into power, right? But I also transmute the energy, right? So you transform it, but transmute is different, right? That's when the molecules change, right? It's like, you go from being a human being to a superhuman being, right? From a man to a superman, right? That's the transmutation, right? You transmutate, right? So you cultivate, you transform, you transmute. And so now we got super energy, superhuman power, right? You utilize it. Right? And what do I use it for? I'm a professor, I'm a teacher, I'm a father, right? I'm a son, I'm a friend, right? I exist, right? I exist in this time and space, so I utilize it. And also, well, what have we talked about? Is that I am love, right? I'm loving, I am lovable, right? So I'm cultivating, transforming, right? Transmuting, right? That concept into me as a human being, right? With the idea, I want to share that with other human beings, right? Because a smile, right? Happiness is not a zero-sum game, right? It's an abundance game, right? If I have a smile, you got a smile. You got a smile. We all have a smile. If I have happiness in my heart, you have happiness in your heart. You have happiness in your heart, right? It's not zero-sum. It's the epitome of abundance, right? So cultivate, transform, transmute, utilize, and then transcend. Right? So this is kind of like, if I think of some of my Zen literature that I've studied, right? The Zen literature would say, like, if you got like a lasso, right? And you spin it and you send the lasso around and capture the moon. Right? You capture the moon with a lasso, right? And so you hold it there, and you align yourself with that holding on to that, and you're all okay, and your spirit's all in alignment, and then you let go, you transcend. And that's where I am that I am, right? And it's a process, and a lot of us don't realize that it's intentional, right? We have to make the decision that it's intentional, okay? So is that the full
That's
thing,
the
right?
whole thing, yeah.
That's the whole thing, and that's
Got 'em all.
and that's the flow part of it, right? So now, right, and so as an economist, I look at financial statements, right? A financial statement, you got an income statement and you have a balance sheet, right? So on the income statement, where you have income come in, goes out in the form of expenses, right? So human energy, right? This is this idea of this energy coming in and energy going out, right? But then the balance sheet is about assets and liabilities, right? And so moving from the flow concept of I cultivate, transform, transmute, utilize, and transcend sexual energy and other stimuli, now we can move to a stock concept, right? Like accumulation, right? And so what's the idea here? It's another 11 words is that, let's see if I got this right, is that I create life wealth and material wealth, right? So I create, attract, accumulate, demonstrate, and share life wealth and material wealth, right? So now a lot of economic language is built around accumulating wealth, right? But before you accumulate it, you create it, right? And so I'm using this human energy, becoming a particular human being, but that energy manifests, solidifies in life wealth and material wealth, right? So creating life wealth, creating material wealth. Well, what is creating life wealth? Creating life wealth is like exercising, working on your body, right? Creating life wealth is working on your emotions, working on your feelings, right? Creating life wealth is working on your mind and your consciousness and your spirit, right? And that manifests in your molecules, it manifests in who you are, right? And so you work on yourself. So you work on yourself, you create this wealth, life wealth, material wealth, right? And again, what's the material wealth? The material wealth is a result of the application of human energy. That's where material, both life wealth and material wealth come from the application of human energy. So we apply human energy to material wealth. Well, that's what feeds us, right? That's how we secure our daily bread, right? That's how we survive, or that's how we thrive. In economics of abundance, it's about thriving. We just, it's almost a travesty to be just surviving when we have the opportunity to thrive, right? So what we do, we create wealth, and then we attract wealth, right? So you human beings, you are in my life, right? I attracted you in my life, right?
So as we talk about this piece on stock, balance sheet, abundance, how does all of what you said flow into what you call stock? Are you talking about physical stocks or just a stock in life? Explain a little bit of that.
Well, I mean, so the idea is that wealth is the product of our labor, right? And labor is the application of human energy that we apply. Like I apply my energy. Right now I'm applying my energy in this interview, right? This is my labor, right? So the stock concept is that when you apply your energy, how would I say it? I think that you become, right? So life wealth, right? So when I go to the gym consistently, I become a particular kind of human being. That's life wealth. If I practice, you're a yoga practitioner, right? Well, your body is reflecting your long history of practicing yoga. That's the idea of
So that's the stock?
That's the stock, right? But at the same time, this is stock too, right? This is material wealth, right? This is a stock concept too, right? And then the conscientious part is that we, what is life wealth, what is material wealth, is the idea that we make that decision. Now, the political economy, a part of this is that over the centuries, that mechanism of converting human energy into wealth has been controlled by others, especially in the life of a Black American. Right, is that if you're a Black American and you follow your ancestry, right, through we're up in Buffalo, but if you follow your ancestry from Buffalo to the U.S. South, right, sharecropping world, and then on through slavery, right, over 200, 300, 400 years, well, that human energy generated wealth, right, but the wealth was in the hands of other people, right? It created wealth for any other people. And right now, in this advanced late-stage capitalist political economy, right, there's a whole working class that is generating wealth, but that wealth is ending up in the hands of like the top 1%, the top 1% of the 1%. The top 1% of the 1% have more wealth than the bottom 50% of the American population, right? So that's how wealth is manifesting right now. But we're talking about a paradigm shift, right? That's where we're at. We're in a paradigm shift, and we're looking to like organize wealth around, right? Going full circle to the beginning of this conversation, Earl Nightingale, you are what you think. So we are conscientiously saying, okay, no, I'm not putting any energy into that system. I've done enough, right? I'm putting my energy in this system, right? I am living the paradigm. I'm living the shift. I am living Black political economy. The Bitcoin people say, I am Bitcoin, right? Just to drop that in, I am Bitcoin.
We got to talk about it.
Yeah, just to drop that in, right? I am Bitcoin, right? And to drop Bitcoin in is that, well, Bitcoin is perfectly scarce. My time on the planet is also perfectly scarce. It's a perfect measure of my time. So if I have any surplus in my life, right, well, I would want to put into something that's scarce. If I want to pass it down to your children, to Jasmine's children, right? All of our children, right? Our grandchildren. What's the? Well, you CIG. What are we about? What are we about?
Generational wealth.
Generational wealth.
Seven
right?
generations.
7 generations starting with our own, right? So what is the best asset that could be passed down 7 generations? One that reflects the perfect scarcity of my life, and I pass it down 7 generations, and it doesn't lose any energy, right? It maintains its energy. How does it maintain its energy? Because it's also perfectly scarce.
So with all that you said, explain this concept of flow, because you were flowing there, but explain the concept of flow, what that means as it relates to all of this.
Okay, explain the concept of flow. Can you help me?
Of course. And before we get there, create, attract, accumulate, demonstrate, and share, which is what you just touched on.
And that's what we're doing right here in this podcast. We're sharing, right? We are sharing. We've been cultivating this as a group for 7 years, just about.
Yeah. So you have a line here that says, "This is where individual consciousness becomes collective capital."
Collective wealth, for sure, yeah. That I'm an economist, so let me make that distinction clear, right? The difference between wealth and capital, right? Some people will say that we want to destroy capitalism, right? I was trained as a Marxist, right? And so that's one of the ideas that it's like capitalism is a system that's exploitative, right? But more so, I want to be a creator, right? I want to. I lost my train of thought. What was your question again?
This is where individual consciousness becomes collective wealth.
Okay, and the difference between wealth and capital.
And Khalil just touched on flow.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So we're
Okay.
flowing here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
As a collective, as a cooperative
Yeah.
of people for about 7 years now, and we've personally witnessed our own individual consciousnesses flow and merge into our own collective wealth.
Correct. Right.
We're here in this beautiful home.
Yeah.
We've been able to create multiple businesses
Yeah.
as a result of being around each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we're we're in the process of accumulating life wealth
Yeah.
and material wealth
Yeah.
for the future generations, and that is a result of our collective capital being exercised.
Well, it's yeah, as I think about it, and again, we're pushing the frontiers here, right? We talking a language. So, for example, I would consider myself a micro political economist, right? So, this paradigm shift, and this is for you, the audience, is wide open. It's for all of us, right? This is my contribution to the paradigm shift. I'm helping set up a framework, but in all paradigms, right? If you think about Thomas Kuhn and with the theory of scientific revolutions, this is a scientific revolution. We're setting up a framework, and then you can, in this framework, make your contribution. You in this framework can make your contribution. You in this framework can make your contribution. We're setting up the paradigm for each of us to make this contribution, right?
Yep.
So the idea of like I think that so what I'm saying that this conversation right now is pushing the frontiers. This conversation probably never happened anywhere on the planet before, right?
Right.
So let's experiment a little bit, because you're pushing me into an experiment. But I would say that the difference between wealth and capital, right, is also using that we could use the prosperity economics, abundance economics, but also traditional economics is that, or what is capital, right? Capital is used as material that a firm or a business would use in the production of a product, right? So, in college we talk about human capital, right? But we got all this equipment that we're using right now. This is all capital, right? And what do you use capital for? You use capital like we're not in a utopian economy, but I kind of feel that this analysis and the direction we're moving towards is in that direction. Because in the utopian uh, economy, right? You just produce things because you love to produce it, and you love to see the smile on the face of the person who receives it. That's utopian, but we're not quite. I mean, we are there, like in different places, but it's not in a societal way where we secure ourselves in that context, right? It was kind of there in our past, in our hunter-gatherer path, our communal past, right? But now we're talking about a world of 8 billion people, and we want to revisit those communal concepts, those sharing concepts, right?
So it's 11:44 on the clock. I want to touch on your affirmations here a little bit more because you've discussed the 1111 principle,
Mm-hmm.
and for me 1144 is an angel number because
Okay.
it symbolizes the next step.
Okay.
It's my message to go forward,
Okay.
to move forward.
Okay.
So as we move forward here as a family, as a group, as a business,
Yeah.
You have here the concept of integration
Mm-hmm.
into political economy, which your mentor Lloyd Hogan touched on, which is that political economy reproduces through IMSR. What is that?
Oh, the institutional mechanisms of social reproduction.
Okay, so
Right.
you
Yeah.
touched on that.
Yeah, I did touch on that. Right. So yeah.
Okay, and so the mechanism begins in consciousness.
Well, my work as a micro political economist, I begin in consciousness. But any of you who want to be political economists using Lloyd Hogan's work, you might focus on the external labor process, right? And you might be like a macro political economist. I'm a micro political economist. So my work, and also it's built around my life, right? I'm a karate man, right? So I've spent a lot of time, I'm a musician, right? I spend a lot of time cultivating energy on this, what I would call this micro level. But this is my contribution from the perspective of a micro political economist. But the paradigm is wide open, right? It's open for somebody to study macro versions of the political economy, the broad political economy. This is just my contribution.
So the inner economy of energy
The internal labor process.
and the outer economy of wealth.
Well, so if we say, if we pull this out about the paradigm, right? So the paradigm is shifting, allows us, right, to shift our emphasis and our focus away from the production and distribution of goods and services to the human being. And Lloyd Hogan talks about the idea of achieving human perfectibility. Well, the way you do that is that from my perspective, is that we recognize that you are what you think, right? And then just build out from that way. So you are what you think. That resonates to people around you, and it continues all the way. Now, in a capitalist economy, part of our human energy, we sell a portion of it, right? So, I'm a professor. I sell some of my skill set. I get paid for some of that skill set, and I work at another site, which Hogan would call the external labor process, right? And then the distributional mechanisms is that, I sold my labor in the labor market and I buy goods and services in a goods and service market. And then we have wealth, right? Which I call life wealth and material wealth. So the paradigm shift would be the idea that I am studying and building my analysis out from the internal labor process, but somebody else who's trained in this paradigm, Black political economy, could put their intellectual, emotional energy in studying the external labor process. So for example, cooperatives, right? So you got the capitalist firms that are built off of a capitalist structure, legal structure, but we are looking at the cooperative as a way to organize firms and businesses in the external labor process. So somebody else could spend a lot of their human energy on that. It still be in the paradigm, right? But they're focusing on that. Somebody else could be, okay, I'm in the paradigm and I'm going to focus my intellectual energy on this idea of life wealth and material wealth, right? And then somebody else could be focusing on policy stuff like cooperative economics. We could talk about government, right? Somebody could be talking about money, right? A finance person could focus on, right, what are the differences between fiat money and Bitcoin as money? They spend a lot of human energy on that, but it's all within this paradigm. And I feel that, again, going back, I think that Lloyd Hogan said that this paradigm, Black political economy, is the gift of Black Americans as a function of their experiences, their struggles to all, quote, oppressed people, right, on how to build a new form and a new structure and a new way to human perfectibility. This is our gift. This is Black America's gift, right? And so there's a lot of space. What they say, we have a big tent, right? We have a big tent.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You were just flowing right there.
Mm-hmm.
So as we close this out, you have here the flow of mind to energy to power to the world, and your two affirmations of both being 11, 11 words of 11.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that flow, remember that we're just talking about two affirmations. I got lots of them, right? And, I'm a karate man, so like what we do, we visualize things, right? So not only do I have affirmations, right? I got visualizations, right? I see the future, right? I feel like I'm manifesting the future, right? I'm bringing the future into the present. And what is the future? Well, the future is, it's like, well, how big is our we, right? It's like, it's like the future is all humanity. That's the future. The future is a beautiful life of abundance for all of humanity, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
So, as we come to an end here, final words on your end, and you can just bounce off of what I have here in the notes. But you say, I am both the flow and the stock, both consciousness, capital, and I would also add the wealth to that.
Yeah.
And what did you mean when
I'm
you...
the flow and I'm the stock?
Yeah.
Well, I think the paradigm shift is also a shift in physics, right? And the old paradigm is built off of Newtonian physics. This new paradigm is built off of quantum physics. And what is happening in this world of quantum physics, science, right, is like aligning with spiritual science. Right? And so there's this whole realm of spirituality that is, I kind of feel that it's almost being held hostage by the superstitious. Right? There's this spiritual thinking, but it's not well thought out spiritual thinking. Right? It's like, well, like 11:11, right? It's like, well, it's just numbers, really. Right? It's just numbers. We make it significant. Whereas somebody else like, no, there's something special about those numbers. No, we make it special, right? Or, like sometimes, like for example, examples of intuition, right? Well, our mind reads into what we call intuition. Oh, this happened. Well, so our mind reads into it. And
Right.
a lot of times that is very superstitious. It's
Interpretation.
It's interpretation. And I think that as we shift from Newtonian physics to quantum physics, we should also be shifting from superstitious spirituality to scientific spirituality.
Wow, well said.
Yeah.
Ascending life for one, ascending life for all. Is that in alignment with the how big is are we?
Oh, of course. What could be more beautiful than that, right? What could be more beautiful? And the world is hungry for beauty.
Yeah.
Right? We're hungry, right? I mean, those who, and again, people like, I think we talked about it. Is like, am I in Donald Trump's dream or is he in my dream? Right? And he's in my dream, right? And he's in the side. He's not my focus. My dream is what you just heard me talk about. He's there, but he's not the dream.
Yeah.
Right? We're the dream, right? And part of what our goal is, right, is turn the dreams into reality. Right? So those of you who are out there, pay attention. We're going to be doing more Paradigm Shift podcasts, and we'll share more of the framework and the language, the ideas and the concepts, and the opportunity. What do? We are about pioneering a loving community lucratively. Peace.